let's talk about the structures briefly, Andy. And I'd like to get your thoughts on this because you're now looking at Congress in a week's time with an intercounty manager's hat in your head. An intercounty team that are in Division 4 that haven't had more than maybe 1 or 2 championship games over the last 10, 15 years every summer. You know, like if you were to clock up, say, your intercounty appearances compared with, say, one of the Leitrim, Emma Mulligan, for example, I can imagine that Emma Mulligan might have to play for 20, 30 years until he be able to match the amount of games that you played in intercounty football championship. So when you're looking at the structures and the potentials out there, we'll say possibly proposal B, where you're guaranteed to have a Connacht championship round robin in the spring, and then move into a league system where you're guaranteed 7 championship games. And then you do have the chance then to get into either the All-Ireland Championship or the Tailteann Cup, or to stick with the status quo. Where would you feel on that?
I think it's the proposal. I don't think proposal B will get through in its current format. I think it will get through, but I think it will have to be adjusted slightly.
So you're kicking it back. You think it could be kicked back a year or whenever?
No, I don't think so. I think there'll be enough. I think there'll be enough in it. From what I'm hearing from around like most counties want this. And the northern lads, we have to be respectful to the northern, to the Ulster Council and the Ulster counties. They run a really good championship, really competitive championship. You got to understand where they're coming from. And I think if we do that and we help them out a tiny bit to get closer to where we need to get to, I think it'll make a big difference to this, you know. And I know there's a lot of them opposed to it. And listen, I understand, because their championship, look at their championship last year, the league format, amazing games. But for a county like Leitrim, to get that level of competition through would be just unbelievable. Like, even to get
game changer.
Yeah. So you've won game last year against Mayo. If you're a squad player on that, right? You're a squad player. You've done all the training like everybody else, and you can still only bring on 5, 6 players. Like, you play 21, you have a squad of 30. So the 9 players there, they don't even get a game. Do you know what I'm saying? They don't even have a chance of getting a game, because there's not that chance of someone getting injured, someone being out for a week, someone moving. If you have 7 games, lads, the amount of players that get playing, the amount of advertising it could do for a game, what it could do for counties, like any county in Division 3 and Division 4, is absolutely huge. I do think there's a few obscurities in it, like if you're in Division 1, and just say you're a Moran, right? And sorry to all the Moran listeners, I'm just going to put you there because Cavan is in 4. But if you're a Moran and you finished in 7th, and then you have an Ulster team like Cavan in Division 4 and they finished in 1st, you know, they're in and they're out. Do you know what I'm saying? I think there's going to be a small few tweaks to it, but I think all in all, the proposal is really, really strong. And the main part of it is that there's games for our best players to be playing at all times. Remember the uproar last year when myself and Paddy, when the National League final wasn't played, and we were saying it's a marketing disaster. You have the greatest team that's played, would potentially, at the time, before the loss to Tyrone, we were thinking, these could be the new kids on the block here now, and they could win 3 or 4 out of the next 5, you know? And you could have them playing, and it was pulled because of the championship. That's never going to happen now.
Everyone in the GAA, everyone across Ireland wanted to see that match.
Yeah.
And that's the type of thing. And listen, I absolutely agree with Andy on this. And it's starting to get a bit heated on social media with people that I want proposal B, and if someone says no, well, then it's kind of, people aren't really taking that on board. They're not happy with that. And I'd say the closer we get to Congress, people will be getting a little bit more and more feisty. Personally, I think proposal B, and you have to remember, over 80% of the players in the GPA have said, these are the guys on the ground playing the games. Over 80%, 4/5 of intercounty players have said they want to go with proposal B. I think proposal B is the best option. I totally accept that it's not perfect. And lads, if there was a perfect solution for this, it will be in place. Without a doubt. It is not black and white. But I absolutely accept and agree with Andy that you can't just go in and say, I want proposal B, and I'm not arsed listening to what. If you think proposal B isn't any use, well, I don't want to listen to it. There has to be empathy from both sides. I totally accept listening to Jim McGuinness during the summer on Sky, the Ulster Championship. We said it ourselves. We watched the provincial games. They were the only show in town for the first 6 weeks of the championship. The brilliant game with Derry and Donegal and Tyrone, and then the Ulster final. they do have a far superior provincial championship in the north, and you have to accept that. So I understand where there's probably a little bit of kickback to Proposal B up there, but I think you've got to be cognizant of both sides. But you have to remember that the players on the ground, over 4/5, want Proposal B, and Andy's hit the nail on the head, guys. Like, if you look at it, I watched both you guys were at that game, and I know it's awkward, Andy, for you now as Leitrim manager, but Leitrim and Mayo was on the Sunday game. It was live, prime time. That game was I thought the straw that broke the camel's back. No, it did nothing for a TV audience. Social media was an uproar watching it. It did nothing for either set of players. It did nothing for advertising the game of Gaelic football. Literally every single stakeholder involved with Gaelic football was left shortchanged by that. And if we keep going down that road, there has to be change. There has to be. Is Proposal B perfect? No, it's not. I agree with Andy's point. Yes, there's nuances there. If you finish 6th or 7th in Division 1, you could, on the flip side of that, say, well, you better make sure you don't finish 6th or 7th and that you're getting 7 games, 7 championship games. It's not the National League. You have 7 championship games to go and perform. This is at peak season. You're not playing in January and February in the muck and the Castlebar, my favourite stadium to go to, Andy, a windswept, rain-soaked sludge fest. You play the provincial championships. They are still there in the springtime.
And Niall Morgan said his Ulster medal, if he won it under Proposal B next year, it would mean as much to him as the Ulster medals he won in 17.
They're still there.
Paddy, I asked you about your provincial medals earlier this year. Did they mean much to you? And you as well as said that by the end of it, you were looking for All-Ireland medals. Like, it is fair to say that
was the cycle of our team. We kind of moved on.
But you had won 13. You won 13 provincial medals.
Look, I don't know. It's not about me, and it's not about Dublin side of things as well. I think you've got the provincial championships are still there. You're still going to have the local rivalries, which are so important. The counties. Dublin can still play Meath. Meath can still play Kildare. These games all over Cork and Kerry. The provincial championships are still there. So you're ticking that box to keep people happy on that side, but you're moving the league structure. Like I say, every player you ask them playing week in, week out, National League games. Imagine that in the height of summer.
Absolutely.
With TV audiences, competitive games. We said it, Offaly and Louth was one of the standout games in the Provincial Championship Series because it was 2 competitive teams against each other. You know, that's ultimately what you've got to have. And if you keep it the way it is, you're going to get these games, total mismatches that do nothing for anyone. Nothing for the players, nothing for the supporters, nothing for the media, nothing for the coverage of the game. Proposal B, that's why it's getting so much airtime. Will it get through? We don't know. I understand. I think you've got to be, both sides have to be open-minded about this. What is for the ultimate better? There's going to be sacrifice from either side. People have to make sacrifices. If there was a perfect solution, it will be in place. But we've got to evolve the game. It is broken.
It is broken.
And because we've had, a brilliant end. There's recency bias there. We've had a brilliant end to the championship with the semi-finals and the final. We cannot forget where we were in May, June, July. It was the Euro. Like I say, the Euros were on. There was everything else.
You
on.
said it.
That was. I wasn't watching a game. Like, I watched that Leitrim Mayo game. That was just one example of it. And it's like, well, this is not what Gaelic football is about. There's a better way to do this. There has to be a better way to do this. And I think Proposal B, at the minute, is the best option on the table. We'll just see in 2 weeks' time if they're going to go down that road or not. It's hard to know, but I think the player's voice needs to be heard in this. There's over 80% that have pulled for this.
Paddy, just on that, just to re-emphasise one thing Paddy said. He goes, there's going to be 7 championship games for every team in the height of the summer.
Come on, like, what?
That's it, like.
What?
Do you know, that's it. And like, me and Paddy, retired players, like, that's dream come true stuff. And you're on about winning.
No training sessions.
Oh, it's unbelievable, Tommy. Like as a player there, you're going from week to week to week, and you're training and recovering. And then just on it, lads, if you go back, and we said this in the pod earlier in the year too, if you go back to the noughties, and it wasn't perfect in the noughties, it was still a broken system in the noughties. But if you go back, right, and you look at it, and the way it used to be structured then was Division 1A and Division 1B, and you could have fall into either one of those. It wasn't 1 and 2. It was like, a mixture of both divisions, and then whoever finished.
Yeah.
So we used to play the Limericks, the Fermanagh, all these smaller counties. We used to play them right through, right? But what did you find in that? You get Fermanagh getting to an All-Ireland semi-final in 2004. You get Wexford getting to All-Ireland
semi-final.
National League final, or National League. Did you get the National League?
National League final against their man.
Yeah, National League final. You get, remember Limerick against Kerry down in the Gaelic grounds with Darragh O'Shea caught the ball over the bar, nearly beat Joe. So these guys are getting used of the pace of the game throughout the course of the league and championship. And you're on about the compound interest kind of thing.
Yeah.
That is the way counties will improve. That's the way you get the addiction to it.
Lads, just an example, right? Derry play Meath in a championship game next July on a Saturday evening in Porktalton, live on television. Derry crowd come down. Beautiful weather. Absolute mob. Navan is hopping with supporters in July in a championship game.
You go yourself.
Stick with the way it is, and it's played on the last Sunday in January in horrendous conditions, and there's about 1,000 people at it.
Yeah.
The players aren't fit. They're not ready to go. Supporters aren't really arsed. It's about -3. Or you have that. You move it to the summer in this structure, championship football. And even if it's Division 1, 2, 3, 4, if there are games on there and to promote it properly, people will watch. Supporters will go. Galway against Offaly in Pearse Stadium on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon in June or July. I mean, these are the options on the table for him.
Yeah. And it'd be like...
It's a brave decision. Like, to change the structures, the GA is one of the most traditional organisations there is. It takes a lot for people to change.
Yeah.
People have to make sacrifices.
True.
You've got to move with the times. Listen to what the players are asking for. Review, cold-heartedly, objectively look at what has happened in the championship the last 2 or 3 years. It's on a downward slope. It's not going upwards. It's going down. Yeah. Something needs to happen with it. Sticking with the status quo. Come on, I think we're better than that.
That's all really strong stuff, lads. And I think one of the positive things over the last couple of weeks is a lot of people are talking about it, which is very important before October 23rd. So we've had lots of voices on Off the Ball over the last couple of weeks, and we'll have plenty more. Will you ask that Derry Meath question to Rory Gallagher like you did there next week when he joins us on the football pod? Rory's going to be our
I'd go myself. It's only up the road, like. I'd be interested in that game.
Do you know what? I'll put it to you this way.
I'm not interested in going to January.
You could plan your little staycation to the Kingdom in June for Dublin's away game, and you could go to Westport and get for their game in Castlebar.
Wild Atlantic Way. They need to link in with Tourism Ireland.
Yeah, they easily could.
And have the championship up and down that coast in June and July. What a week. You'd have a good week golfing and watching ball, wouldn't you?
You absolutely would. We're going to come back to Congress once more next week.
You'll have no fun. You'll have your head in the books, coaching. I'll be having a few points down in Clarny.
I'm ringing you for reviewing teams. Were you at this game?
If you trust my insight, God bless you.